drawing attention to what's going on. And this is a wonderful way of putting the panel together, because it's the people who are actually on the grassroots, feet on the ground, working there with putting the pressure on the governments and the legal apparatuses and UN and all that, and the people who are shining the focus on all of this. So just this panel alone can make a change, and we believe that you will, and we're behind you. So let's see what Felicia is preparing.
So much of what you said is, I feel like I'm looking in a mirror, and I feel like that's everything I was going to say except the Liberia part. And the one difference is that our audience is actually, it's everyone else in the what I call my Manhattan bubble that doesn't know. So real briefly, I'll try to tell you my story, how this all came together. For 10 years, I actually did marketing for Major League Baseball and the NHL, and then I switched to acting, as you do. And then I found, as an actor, I had a lot of free time, so I got into activism. I first started with animal activism. I had always taken care of dogs my whole life, so I had a visceral connection. So the next thing I knew, I could go on about my animal activism, but then that's not why we're here right now. Then I had a daughter, and I actually happened to be out when my older daughter was 2 years old. We were out, and I saw a brochure for a fundraiser for ECPAT USA, ending child prostitution, pornography, and trafficking. And I opened the brochure, and my mouth dropped. I mean, sex tourism is a thing, and wait, this is also happening here in my country. This is, next thing I know, I'm having lunch with Carol Smolinski, the executive director of ECPAT, who's just an incredible, powerful woman who is as sweet looking as Ruchira, but you also don't want to mess with her. I think that two peas in a pod. Just so glad to have them on our side. Carol really opened my eyes even further. I mean, not only was this happening in all 50 states, but it's happening not in the big cities. It's happening in suburban towns, in rural areas, and it was happening in our backyard, which was one of the first documentaries she suggested that I watch. So as I became more aware, got more involved, went to more events, I would always hear someone ask in an audience, okay, what can the average person do to help? Because like you said, I'm watching this, and I wanted to tap you on the shoulder and say, let's hop a plane, because let's just go there and save these girls. Because you want to do something, but it feels so overwhelming. And then you meet incredibly amazing, powerful, accomplished women like this, and you think, I can't really do anything. What can I do? I have kids, I pretend I'm an actor. What can I do? So someone will always ask that, and one of the answers always is talk about it. Start talking about human trafficking. It's the fastest growing criminal enterprise worldwide. It's the second most profitable. It is tremendous. It is everywhere, and it is here. And not that it is less important in India, but again, in my bubble, it's a lot easier when people can relate, when they can see that, wait, this actually could happen to my kid. It's horrible that it happens in India, but that's not really my problem. I have other problems. So, okay, how can I get people that do not want to watch these amazing documentaries, how do I get them to care and do something? And there's so many reasons that people need to know and talk about it. For UN, for so many reasons. The safe harbor laws that ECPAT helped pass through that still does not. So real quick, safe harbor laws actually says, we were talking about before, that someone under 18 arrested for prostitution should not be arrested, who has been trafficked, should not be arrested for prostitution. If they're not consenting to begin with, if they're not old enough to have consensual sex with a boyfriend, they certainly cannot be consenting to being trafficked to strangers. So that's one of the many things that we need help to push through in the rest of the states that haven't gotten there. So the whole point is a film. How about, instead of making a documentary, which are great, everyone likes a movie. Everyone likes action and emotion and going to the movies. So I wound up partnering up with Marcelo Remezov, who was a producer on the last film I did, ALS, again, where we got information out there about the disease, let me try that again. Why am I getting more nervous as I'm talking? You know what, I'm just getting all into this. Yeah, there's just so much to talk about. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Got that? Get that? Okay. Marcelo and I had connected on the fact that film can be used for good. It's a whole lot of fun to have the shoot 'em ups, but when you can actually make art and do something good with it, why not? So Good Girls Gone is a film that has been in production for 2 years, and one of the reasons it's taken so long is getting the script right. And the hardest part we've found is making a film, an exciting film that will entice people that really don't necessarily want to know about this. So we want to get them there, but it's paramount to me that it is honest and it is respectful, and it tells the truth. And that is why the script has gone back and forth, and that's what we're working on. And I think that's everything I wanted to say.
That's great. Thank you. I'm not going to continue the discussion with the panelists, but allow you to ask questions, because unfortunately we don't have much time, and I have a surprise that is waiting for us.
Yes. Hi, thank you so much for the panel. Ruchira, I adore you, and I'm so happy to be here to celebrate you. My question is to you and to Simone and anyone else who'd like to weigh in. You started the clip that we saw focusing on access to technology as an enabler of the crime. And from what I understand from ECPAT and others, it's gotten worse since you made the film. So I would love to know from you and Simone, what's the state of things, and what do you think tech companies should be doing to shut this down?
The question is about how can we harbor the tech companies to harness the advent of what's going on, because it's all happening on the internet.
Yeah, internet has become a big enabler to recruit girls, sell girls, auction girls. So at the time that I made the film, which was 21 years ago, to the time now, there's much more access. And we are talking to different companies like Facebook and Microsoft and others, including Google, to see what kind of things they can put in place, checks and balances, to stop the sex industry from using these areas to recruit and sell girls. But of course, you know, it's such big business that we are having a hard time. As you know, in Washington, D.C., there was a bill which was being mooted to put these checks and balances in place for Google, etc. But Google lawyers try to prevent it. And so it's really an uphill journey. And there are organizations which are working to take this on with tech industries. And of course, the other thing is, you know, how online backpage ads and Craigslist are also used to sell girls. So one is, of course, to sell girls, the other is to recruit girls. Then there's the porn industry, which is also now mostly technology-oriented, where videos are made and girls are sold. Sexting is used as a way to blackmail girls into prostitution. So new methods are being used to both pimp and recruit girls and sell girls. And this is something which we have to take on. And NGOs are trying to take it on by writing letters to senators and congressmen, and also, of course, to industry owners. But we haven't got enough of the checks and balances that we require right now. That's the truth.
Just very quickly, I love that question that you asked. Every 2 years in the General Assembly, there's a GA resolution or General Assembly resolution on the coordination of trafficking efforts in the UN. And for the first time, last year in the fall, Belarus, which is the country that chairs that resolution, different countries chair different resolutions, put in some very strong language on dealing with the internet, dealing with technology. But some countries were very skeptical of that and had concerns not so much in the trafficking area, just about First Amendment rights, about internet governance, and so the language was watered down in the end in that resolution. But that's something that some countries are trying to push for now, and again, if that's something you want to see more of, you need to push countries in the General Assembly to make sure that the next iteration of that resolution, which will be in 2019, has some teeth in it. Taina was there during the negotiations and tried to push for as much as she could push, but I think that a little bit more pushing is needed if you want to see real strong language on that aspect.